Hey everybody, this is Wrestling Fan Talk here. So it's official now. At Money in the Bank, we have Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Championship. This is a really interesting match. It really is, because it's hard to predict. You've got Seth Rollins coming back, and we all know Seth Rollins is an over-the-top, charismatic babyface. Crazy outfits, crazy over with the fans. But we got Damian Priest too, who, yes, Judgment Day is still technically a heel stable, and he is in that stable, which technically makes him a heel. Lately, he's been more and more of a babyface. He's been acting more of a babyface, which certainly would indicate that a breakup with Judgment Day is imminent. There's also the fact that the Wyatt Six just debuted, and if they're going to be the top heel stable on Raw, well, then you got to have Judgment Day break up to have that happen, which certainly seems like a possibility at this point. So what does this mean for the booking moving forward? Well, my prediction is that Seth Rollins wins back the WWE World Championship at Money in the Bank. I think SummerSlam is going to be Gunther versus Seth Rollins for that WWE World Championship. I think Damian Priest will somehow get screwed over for the title by Judgment Day. I think Finn Balor, Carlito, and Dominic will somehow screw over Damian Priest. Maybe with influence from Liv Morgan. We don't know. And it's really hard to tell what's going to be the catalyst for this. But I do believe that Seth Rollins walks out with the title, because I think Gunther defeating Seth for the title is going to be in their plans. Because remember, it was late last year that Gunther called out Seth for that title. They had that in-ring segment before the Royal Rumble where Gunther said when he won the Royal Rumble, he was going to come after Seth for that title. I think that's something that they can go back to in a feud between Seth and Gunther if Seth wins the title. Now look, I'm not necessarily saying that's the greatest booking decision. I think if you give Damian Priest a win at Clash of the Castle like you did, yes, I know CM Punk was involved. I know it was a classic screwjob finish with CM Punk screwing over Drew McIntyre. But if you give Damian Priest a win like that, I feel like you gotta really push him even further. Like, that's a big deal. That's a big, huge win. I don't think it should necessarily just be sort of over already. I think Damian Priest is actually having a very entertaining title reign. I think he's great on promos. He's great in the ring. He's got a great look. He's a top guy. And I would want to push that further. But I think Seth and Gunther is the direction they're going to go in. And I think Damian Priest has the fallout with the Judgment Day when it breaks up on the other side to keep him going, to allow a push to keep happening. Because you could argue that a push is just, him holding that world title and getting big wins. You can also say that being involved in a top storyline is just as much of a push because you're getting a lot of TV time. It's hard to say. It's based on interpretation. It's based on how the fans perceive you. I think they perceive Damian Priest as a top guy now who's earned a spot, which means losing the world title doesn't necessarily have to hurt him as much as it maybe would someone else who had a failed title reign. But you don't want people to perceive he had a failed title reign if he loses the title too early. You're playing with fire either way, it seems like to me. But I do predict that Seth wins it. And like I said, I think it's Seth versus Gunther. Because maybe, and I don't necessarily feel this way, but maybe WWE does. Gunther winning his first world title from Seth might be a bigger deal than winning it from Priest. I don't necessarily believe that to be true, but I could see how WWE could perceive that to be true, if that makes any sense. But I do believe that's the direction where we're going. I think Damian Priest versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam could be a fantastic match as well. You can definitely tell a story of Judgment Day screws over Damian Priest for his world title, kicks him out of the group, because you've had tension building up there, as I said. And you can have a story where Damian Priest has to sort of murder the whole group one at a time to get back to that world title. And Finn Balor versus Damian, SummerSlam is perfect. You could easily have matches on Raw where Damian goes through Dominic, Damian goes through Carlito, Damian goes through JD McDonough, and then finally he gets his hands on Finn Balor at SummerSlam. That could easily be a storyline as well. Question is, where does Liv Morgan fit in all this? You got to think about when Rhea Ripley returns from injury. A lot of moving parts here. But I think Seth takes it. That's where I'm leaning. Maybe after tonight's Raw, maybe after next week's Raw, maybe it'll look different. We'll have a different outline of the picture they're drawing us here. But that's all for this one, guys. Wrestling Fan Talk out.